What's up, D-Rex? How you doing, brother? We have a fantastic guest tonight. She is an entrepreneur with an amazing story, and I can't wait to get into it. Our guest tonight is Tamara Thompson. I don't know where Derek went. I don't care. Right? Tamara, welcome to the show.
It's Tamara, like camera.
Yes, I know it's Tamara. Girl, we met what 2 weeks ago? Before I went up for my mom. Yeah. We chatted, had a great conversation. I think you wanted to hire me. I think you're gonna bring me on your team, aren't you?
Come on over.
Let's go.
Big Daddy Zach.
That's right. Can I work remotely from Florida?
You can. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Our whole team works remotely.
I would just sit here all day and do what I do.
Just sit there and look pretty.
Well, thank you.
You look good in blue, by the way. So.
Thank you. Well, you can't really see them, but they match my eyes.
Oh,
and
my eyes pop too when I wear blue. I should have worn blue. I should have matched you. We should have color coded.
Oh, why didn't you tell me? I would. Now you got my number, so you can text me. I'm really. So years and years ago, this is before I met my wife. So, but like 20 years ago, I was working in the restaurant business. I ran bars and stuff, and one of them was the Wing House. I don't know if you guys have that out there, but it's like Hooters, but it's a Dallas Cowboy football player who has the Wing House. And the girls used to tell me I was so metrosexual because I always matched, color coordinated. Everything had to match my eyes, my socks, belt, everything had to match. And I kind of still try and do it, but I'm not, as OCD about it. But yeah, sorry, my dogs are howling. Someone must have put one up and he's feeling lonely. So anyway, let's get on with the show. Please tell us all about yourself. I want to know about your business. Derek, do you have any questions before I jump in? Let her jump in?
No. I'm going to let you go with either story or your business or both or however you want to swing it.
I'd like to hear both because I remember we had a fantastic conversation and you've got a fabulous story. So please tell us what you do.
Yeah, well, I've got lots of stories. That's for sure. So I'm the co-founder of a content marketing agency with the focus around podcasts being the medium, but really helping business owners. So the brand itself is called Broadcast Your Authority. We also have a podcast called Broadcast Your Authority that we've partnered with SiriusXM as well for our show. That we record out in Las Vegas. I actually reside in Arizona, but we fly out each quarter to record, basically batch record an entire season in 2 days. And we have
how's your voice?
We have that. Yeah, it's very intense. And people are always like, how do you do that? How do you keep your energy up? But I was like, it takes a grounding as well as just practice.
How many shows are in a batch?
So we batch record. So we record anywhere from an average of 12 to 15 in one day.
And do you bring 24 to 30 changes of clothes?
That's a great question. And yes.
That is incredible.
So it really does.
And how do you pack that?
You know, what's really funny is people always ask that. And me being a girl, I learned when I traveled how to actually condense packing to actually only use a carry-on, even if I was traveling for 5 weeks at a time, like a carry-on as a female. So the trick to me is what pants do I really need to bring? Like black pants, dress, jeans. What does that look like? The alternate part is to, alternate the pants, but the shirts and the tops. Can I wear, is it a t-shirt? Is the studio cold? That, yes, we have AC, right? Is there, I wear blazers a lot that I interchange with other shirts underneath. So like example, so I have a black blazer, a blue blazer, a light blue blazer. Underneath, I'll rotate the shirts, right? So I'll change out like a peach like tank top and then like a green shirt or another light blue shirt or a black or whatever that looks like. So I'm alternating the blazers, but underneath I'm changing the different
and you can
colors.
Fit 24 tops in a carry-on?
I can, yes.
Wow. Does it look like Carrot Top's luggage, like his props?
Well, my shirts are all short sleeved. So if I bring like 3 blazers, right? Or if I have like a sweater or something, like all my other shirts are short sleeve. So like I'm wearing a short sleeve like this, right? So it takes up less room than like maybe like a sweater or a sweatshirt, right? I'm not going to wear a sweatshirt. I'm not going to pack that because those can get kind of thick, but I literally I roll them. So you can roll, like you just tighten it. It's like squeezing them, like you're bringing out a wet cloth, right? And so you roll them and you can actually fit like 12 of them in one little row on the side there. So if I'm only packing like 3 pairs of pants for a few days, I'm just basically wearing 3 pairs of pants. I pack like 24 shirts. I have 3 blazers. on that side. And then if I have any other additional stuff, and I change out my necklaces. So I'm really big on jewelry. So like I always am wearing some sort of a piece of jewelry, if it's that or like rings or whatever on that side. But I'm always like color coding the gemstones because I love gemstones, and to match the energy in the room and things like that. So it's very interesting. But people are like,
I can't believe I'm asking about
three pairs
this.
of shoes too. Three pairs of shoes. Wear the tennis shoes to the airport.
Yep.
So the big clunky stuff, tennis shoes, airport. 2 pairs of flats. I don't wear heels. That's great. I'm not that person. I'm already 5'9". I don't need to wear heels to be taller than half the men that come in the room.
Right.
Right. So yeah, it's pretty, the flats, literally, I wear the same flats. I bulk buy flats. The blazers, I buy the same Anne Klein company. Like I very much rotate. It's kind of like Mark Zuckerberg that wears the same t-shirt over and over again. Right. So that's me, but as a girl, but changing colors.
And that whole process of unpacking that and having that actually like wrinkle free, like I'm a dude. Okay.
I have
I can't imagine it.
This
Are you
big.
a he, him?
I have this, it's this about this big. It's a small, basically, what's it called?
Steamer?
Yes. It's been a long day. But
big one.
steamer, small steamer that I do that. So anything that has like wrinkles, but right when I get to the hotel, I unpack all those rolled shirts and hang them and then steam them. And then they're ready to go that next morning. So they're already just like, ta-da.
So tell me about your studio. Do you guys sit behind a desk? Is it an interview like across from each other or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the format of Broadcast Your Authority, so we always give back different value. So the majority of people that come into the experience, a lot of them are actually our clients. So we give back a PR experience to feature them on our show that reaches over at least 90,000 viewers a month. And then our YouTube channel also gets a lot of great traction. We love YouTube. And so what we do is the guest is across from us, across the room. They get their like little seats over there. There's like a 2-spot setup if there's like co-founders that are on the show. And so it's typically one person or two person if they have co-founders.
Right.
On the other side, it's totally a broadcast desk, right? It's a big broadcast desk. And there's always 4 of us. So the way that we give back value to our clients is we say, hey, we're going to feature you on the show for a fun PR experience to help promote you, your business, your company, what you do. And then I'll be like, hey, Zach, you're going to come on this side of the broadcast table for a couple of other episodes. And I'm going to have you join in as a co-host because I know how badass you are at co-hosting shows. Right.
Well, thank you.
So people get like excited because they're like, wow, I'm going to be featured in, the SiriusXM studio. And then I'm also going to be a co-host for a couple episodes during that season that they're recording. So we always alternate co-hosts. With my co-host Danielle and I, we manage the main co-host spots, and then we alternate with other people. We also build relationships with power partners such as publishing companies and things like that actually refer us business through like, example. So one of our clients, they have a publishing company. They actually add our PR piece to the end of their client's book publishing tour. So they've launched the book and we become the PR spot to help promote their books on other people's podcasts, one of them being our show. So they get to come out, they get this cool experience. They're going to be over there on that side promoting their book. And then they get to come over here and be a co-host for a couple episodes. And they get to have like fun photos, extra micro content behind the scenes in the studio. But then we're also within that type of package for that type of client, we are also booking them virtually on other shows that are very specific to their niche in their book launch. So at Broadcast Your Authority, we are actually a content marketing agency with the focus of leveraging podcasts to get our clients out there, 1, on YouTube, 2, on audio podcast distribution, 3, throughout social media distribution. So that you're getting that omnipresence piece that drives them back to the YouTube channel that helps optimize the show on that video front, and then also to the audio podcast front, and then consistently distribute for content. So shorts, reels, TikTok videos, and so on. So it's really like a one-stop shop content marketing system. The only thing our clients do is record their content and we do the rest primarily.
Okay. So question.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a guest that just was either really hard to deal with or just as boring as vanilla ice cream? And how did you spice it up?
Yes. Yes.
And is that your job?
No names mentioned. So I think that there was an interview that I know the gentleman on the show. He was rather nervous, so he flew in from Colorado. And we actually helped prepare questions for him. He actually wanted us to, I don't want to say it was boring, but the fact that he wanted this specific style where we already help create more like suggested questions for our co-hosts because
Right.
we kind of introduce them a little bit beforehand. This is what they do. We try to play matchmaker based on who's in the room, if it makes sense. Sometimes you can't always matchmake all the people coming in based on their background, but we try to. And so this gentleman wanted to have all the questions ahead of time, and he didn't want us to go off beat of that. So typically we'll provide suggested questions, but the majority of people are always open to having just organic conversations because this question and this answer will always lead to something other than that's on that sheet, right?
Exactly.
So I don't want to say it was like boring, but because we didn't feel like, and we wanted him to feel comfortable, that we didn't want to step past that. So we made a pact to literally go down the broadcast line desk to ask each specific question on the sheet. But because we did that, the energy was lower, right? And it was more like, okay, I'm next. Like you were like scripted, right? Because the majority of our shows really are, we lead with a specific question about like your backstory, how you got into what you're doing now, why you're passionate about it. And that always leads into something else. Somebody next to me might say like this leading question might actually be really good to match with what we were just talking about. So,
Right.
but the majority of them don't go off that sheet. But I think that was one scenario where it wasn't like my ideal, but I wanted to allow the client to feel comfortable and he knows his stuff and he wanted to promote certain things for his practice. And so that was probably one of the most different experiences that I would say on that side.
How long are your shows?
We do a specific 22-minute format. So we go, so we go 22 minutes, 24 minutes max, just because we're creating, I can't go into detail with all of it right now, but we're creating more of, it's so much to take in. So we're creating more of a platform that's more like video on demand for a network purpose. And so we're also putting together some higher level opportunities and partnerships with networks. And
Fabulous.
they wanted us to prove that we could create content in this time frame to be able to be promoted to this specific network, which will help generate different avenues.
Awesome. Yeah, we had Derek on a former show we were on. We had a guest actually in the middle of the interview. He was on his phone. I didn't even realize it. He walked outside to smoke a cigarette in the dark while we're talking to him. And I had to literally like pull this guy. Like I was asking him like softball questions, just trying to get him talking. And I'm like, I told the host of that show, let me handle guests from now on. You don't need to talk to. Let me bring. It was Derek. Was that the guy literally went outside to light a cigarette? And
Yeah,
like,
and
what
I
are you
think
doing,
too,
bro?
like when it's scripted, you can tell. You know, I'll get
Right.
just from being in different businesses. Sometimes I'll get people say, "Hey, do you want to be on this podcast?" This and that, and usually I don't. But some are good, and I've had at least one or two where like it's so scripted that it makes you uncomfortable too. Not only as like the interviewer, but also as the interviewee, in my opinion, just because. It just usually works more organically with like a outline, right? I have all these things I want to ask. I have these things we want to know.
But there are successful shows that have specific formats, right? So one of our a good buddy of mine that we actually went and visited him in Puerto Rico a couple months ago. We went to say hi to his wife and his newborn baby. John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire, right? So he gets like 2 million downloads a month and he's done Entrepreneur on Fire for many years. And he has a very specific format. Like he has very like all like these are the 3 questions. People know this. And then he's got his rapid fire round at the end. And he's always done that. He's never changed it. And so people know, and then they can prepare for that. I mean, obviously their answers are different than the previous person on that side of it. I personally like organic conversations because a lot of people end up hearing my crazy stories that have helped build success over the years, which I love to just kind of dive into some of those things. But I know that because we also at Broadcasting Authority have different avenues of how people work with us. So we have a podcast booking tour agency side department that helps people that don't want to start their own podcast, but they want to be booked on other podcasts, right? So we've built relationships on our network to help book people on shows. But there are several shows that are in the top like 0.5% to 1%, and they are type A. They want to have pre-interviews. They want to know that what you want to talk about beforehand. Like but they have very successful podcasts. So it's like being open to understanding the value of being on that show because they've built this large audience. So people are.
I think that makes sense because
structure.
Yeah, I think that's a a more sensible thing. I don't know if you know the channel School of Hard Knocks. It's a younger gentleman you interview, right?
Yep.
And I wouldn't say it's
We
scripted.
just interviewed Sarah Blakely.
But yeah, for sure. So he's done John Morgan here in Orlando and all over the place.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it's scripted and perfect every time. But if you follow it and watch that 20-minute format, there's a lot of similarities in questions from, it's pretty structured. You know the types of things that are going to be asked, and you want to know those things because of the person who's being interviewed in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just about being receptive of that and open to it. Yeah. Right. So I know what type of formats are my favorite, but I've definitely been on shows where I'm like, I have to follow this host's format, just because that's what they've built. But I'm grateful for it too, because they have the consistent show. They have a consistent platform. They've built some sort of structure that has built them some sort of success. And so they know something that's working for them on that. But you're also being exposed gratefully to their audience as well, because they've helped build that.
Right. And I think sometimes, and the problem with and I don't have a problem with structure. Well, maybe I do. But the problem I see sometimes is you might have that, like you want to get that question and you just miss it because you're following a cue card and you're just like, man, I should have asked that. Why didn't I think of that? Or you may say something that might lead into something fantastic,
I got a story.
I want you to tell stories. I also want you to tell us your crazy life too.
Well, I think it's funny because half the time they like put structure in front of me. They're like, these are the questions I'm going to ask you. And they'll get to like 2. Because I tell like a long story. They're like, well, we didn't have time to answer all 5 questions because you took so long on the first 2. That's awesome. I was like, my bad.
Yeah. And I've been corrected because sometimes I can ramble on and we need to obviously be interviewing you and nobody wants to hear about me. All right.
I want to hear about you.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate it. My co-host doesn't want to hear about me anymore. He's heard all the stories. He knows them all.
You're going off script again.
Yep. There we go. No. So please let's dive into that. Where did you grow up? Tell me about your childhood. Where are you from?
Okay. So I grew up in Bothell, Washington, which is about 40 minutes up north of Seattle. So up in the suburbs. And I was in Seattle for about 35 years. I moved to California for a couple of years when I started my entrepreneurial journey. And then I moved to Arizona less than 10 years ago or so. But yeah, so I grew up in Seattle. I was actually kind of a quiet, awkward girl. I played basketball. I got a basketball scholarship for college. And my actually goal in life was actually to be in the WNBA. Female basketball player. I was in the era of Rebecca Lobo, Lisa Leslie,
Cheryl
all those
Swoops.
People. Yep, there you go. I had all that. Yep, all those moves. They're all my favorites. And fast forward, I was 20 years old.
Where'd you go to college?
It was a community college in Washington. It was called Edmonds Community College. I got a basketball scholarship.
Cool.
And at the time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do because I just wanted to play ball, right? And I actually ended up getting hit by a car while I was jogging and was knocked out for about 27 hours. And that moment of my life changed quite a bit of my path, which I would never take back. And so that kind of spiraled into some different things. So I was in the best shape of my life played basketball, wasn't quite sure what I was doing, but I was like, hey, I'm going to be the WNBA. That completely changed my life. Couldn't play basketball anymore. I actually gained 85 pounds in 1 year. And I was also a personal trainer at the time and couldn't train people, just kind of felt like I was a fraud. I couldn't do stuff, wasn't mobile. And so what happened there is kind of spiraled into some different things. So I was hit by a car, didn't want to go to school, got depressed. There was a lot of things going on. And I ended up starting to go down a drinking path. So started drinking a lot of alcohol. Didn't really get into hardcore drugs or anything like that, gratefully, because I have an addictive personality. And
I know it.
So I gained about 85 pounds in 1 year due to not being fit, mobile, playing ball, working out, anything, plus starting to drink alcohol, starting to eat Taco Bell every, started doing stupid stuff like drinking and driving, and started going out to the bars quite often, and was just very unsatisfied in my life for a good portion of my 20s, really. I just kind of was making the wrong decisions, and I was just unhappy in my career. And then basically at the end of my 20s, mid 20s, YouTube came out, right? This is like over 20 something years ago. So when YouTube first came out, I was like, what is this? I was very attracted to YouTube. So I started creating like really silly video content. And sometimes I was sober, sometimes I wasn't when I was creating the content. And I literally, I was having fun with it, but I only had fun with it for about 4 years before my friends and family were like, why don't you create a career out of something with video? One, you're just not happy with things. All these things happen in your life.
Right.
And then I finally was like, you're right. Maybe I should do something. So I went back to film school at the Seattle Art Institute at my late 20s and started to change my life around a little bit, not necessarily on the drinking part. And there got to be a point where one night I went out and I got pulled over what I call for the last time, because over the course of 6 years, I was pulled over multiple times, had multiple DUIs. I was thrown in jail multiple times. And then by the last time I got pulled over, I literally was like, holy crap. My intuition already knew that I was in big trouble. Like I was like, this is horrible. I'm literally getting pulled over on my exit. I could see my house right up that hill. I was like, wow, I almost made it home. Almost, right? And this is like my fifth time at this point. Fifth time. I was getting in and out of courtrooms. They called me the miracle child in all my other court cases because somebody was watching over me where things were getting dropped or things were misconstrued or fraudulent cop report. So things that kept allowing me to slide through the cracks for about 6 years in the court system that wasn't really teaching me full on lessons other than, hey, go to AA, go get treatment, whatever that looks like.
Right.
But the last time I was pulled over, I was 30 years old and I knew right then, I was like, oh no, this is bad. So they literally were like, okay, you're going to go away for at least a year, locked up for at least a year. You're going to be put on house arrest for at least 9 months, which I was. So I was literally living parallel lives with Lindsay Lohan at the time. Like she was she's doing really well now in acting and bringing back success in her life.
There you go.
I was there with Lindsay. I was like, hey, she's over there with Martha Stewart in the jail and I'm over here. I wish I was way more Botox with them. Yeah. And so I literally, but I had just started going back to school a couple of years. I was actually doing really well in school, even though I was drinking and had problems. Like went back to school in filmmaking, was getting straight A's. I was going to treatment. I was doing things, but I was still drinking here and there, still doing the thing. And by that point, so I went to a treatment, my treatment center one night, and my counselor, she gave me the book, The 4 Agreements. And she said, read this book, even though it's like small book, the 4 agreements, always do your best, be impeccable with your word, don't make assumptions, and don't take things personally. I was literally like, those are simple, right? But then I started realizing, wow, like every time I woke up and she was like, just live by those 4 agreements. If something doesn't make sense, just think about it. So then I started realizing, I'm like, oh man, I just took that personally, or, oh, I totally just made an assumption. Like I was like, oh, like every time I'd step back and start using those 4 agreements in the way I thought in my mindset. So she introduced that. And one night we were in group and these guys were talking and they were all getting put on work release. And I was like, work release. I'm like, what's that? They're like, it's only offered in King County. They're like, you weren't pulled over in King County. It's not offered to you. And I was like, well, why not? I was like, why can't I try? They're like, it's just not a thing. So me being the bold person that I am, and at that point I was like, and I'm very good at negotiations now in my life, business, everything. Negotiations is one of my favorite things because of this experience that I went through. So I told my counselor at the time in the group, I said, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to put a proposal together for this judge, and I'm going to get work release approved through this court system in Washington State. They all just laughed at me. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So, and all the other times I went in and out of jail and through the courtrooms, like the judge always would say, like, Tamara, Miss Thompson, do you have anything to say? And my attorney always said, just stay quiet, right? Like, don't keep your foot in your mouth.
Yes.
So all those other cases, I would just stay quiet. So this time I still had the same attorney. I told him, I said, I'm going to make a presentation. He was like, what? He's like, you're already like the miracle worker. So I'm sure something miracle will come through. I was like, this is the only way a miracle will come through is by me actually standing up and stating something.
Right.
So I stood up in that courtroom that day. I said, Judge, I know I have a problem. I know I need help. I did start going back to school 2 years ago. I was like, I went up and I gave my transcripts of how I was doing well, getting straight A's in college, in my late 20s. I was showing him my AA slips. Like, I was going to the meetings. I got the signature recommendation from my counselor. I got even a recommendation from my work. I didn't want to lose my job. I literally walked up and I said, I know this is not offered here, but I know that other systems do this. And I said, I would love to do and create a work release program through this system, through your system, and I will cover all of my own expenses. And at the time, that was thousands of dollars, and I didn't make that much in my career at the time. And so, but I was like, I will make it happen. I will do it. I will sober up. I need help. I was like, but I don't want to lose my job, and I don't want to miss out on my schooling, and I want to finish this. And the guy looks down at the proposal. He looks up at me, just looks down, looks up, and he's like, Miss Thompson, he's like, nobody's ever stepped in my courtroom in the last 30 years to make a proposal to get out of jail. And he's like, that takes guts. And he literally was like, well, you know what? I'm going to honor this to you. We're not going to put you away for the year that I want to put you away. We're going to give you 90 days. You're going to start the first work release program through this system. You're going to cover all the costs. And if you do anything to mess up while you go out to work on work release and then come back and sleep at the jail every night, and then you are not allowed on weekends, you will stay in the jail. And he's like, if you mess up at all, I'm going to throw away the key and you're going to get locked up for over a year. I said, I will do whatever it takes. And so he presented that offer. I went through that experience. I was in the best shape of my life in jail, doing tricep dips off the bunk beds, doing lunges. I was the tallest girl in there, thank goodness, because everybody respected me at that point. They knew I was a personal trainer, and they didn't mess with me, basically. But I was always nice to the women too, because a lot of things that were going on there from us being in a system where we actually were in a room where they brought in the people, the women that were coming down off meth and other things, or came in from the insane asylums, right into our sleeping quarters before they booked them. So it was very, very interesting. And I always stuck up for the women though, when things would happen. And so there were quite a few experiences that just made me extremely resilient. And going through that process, like, that was my rock bottom in my life. And so everything that started to happen and formulate from that experience in life and business never really phases me at this point. Like, there's hardships, there's stress, there's things, but I literally turn my life around where I just say, let it go. Like, I'm the type of person that lets things go in a matter of seconds than dwelling on something, because I was like, you just have to find a solution and go for it or let it go. And so my whole mindset shifted from going through that experience, creating this whole work release program for this county, to being able to keep my job, keep the college that I was going to, and go through that process. So I went through that for 90 days, got out. They put me on 9 months house arrest after that. So I was confined in my house for 90 days. So it was a whole year of sobering up, making sure that things were good. And removing everybody in my life that didn't serve me or that didn't support the new habits that I was formulating.
That's great.
And so that really helped me there. And then fast forward 2 years later, I graduated the Seattle Art Institute after being 2 years sober, and I started my own company.
So would you say that jail helped your entrepreneur spirit kickstart, or were you an entrepreneur prior?
That's a great question. So the jail formulation really, and all the DUIs and all the stuff that started my resilience journey, I think, more of changing that attitude. My entrepreneurial journey actually started when I was 8 years old. My mom was an entrepreneur, and she had a company where she had a Victorian decor crafting business. She hosted bazaars that people would come in, they'd rent these booth spaces from her, the Christmas time bazaars and things like that, crafting bazaars. And she had this whole Victorian line. And one day I came to her, I was like, Mom, I want to create these little candy rolls or placeholders or stocking stuffers to help match the Victorian decor. And so I did just that. And so like she taught me, like, I was like, I knew I had to save $65 to buy a 95-pound box of Hershey Kisses. And we had all of our neighbors save all their toilet paper rolls. I knew I had to buy, 10 rolls of Victorian core Christmas wrap. I knew I had to buy a certain amount of cellophane. I knew I had to buy ribbons, and it would only cost me $93 to buy all the stuff that I needed to create a certain amount of candy rolls that I sold for $1.50 each. So we'd sell these in the bazaars, and I would make about $3,000 per show based on that. So that was a high profit for me as an 8-year-old.
Wow.
And
nice food cost there.
Yeah. And so I was proud because I was able to do that. I put the time in, the work in, pay my mom back that $93 that she'd front me, like on that front end cost. And then I do it again. And then, so I did that for a few years. And then of course went into the job force at like age 15. But my parents always taught my brother and I to buy everything ourselves. So we purchased our own cars. We paid for our own college. I got also grants and scholarships, of course, but we were never handed anything. We were never without. My mom was always like, oh, I spoiled you guys, but we weren't taught to just be handed something. And so when I saw her put the time and effort into her own business, she instilled that in me when I did finally create my own company as well later on in life.
So when you went to school, you went for video production?
Yeah, so it's digital filmmaking, production, direction. Yeah, basically the whole video filmmaking suite. So I learned every single aspect, and it was interesting because I was in my late 20s, and the majority of people that were coming in that were like right out of high school, and so I didn't really feel connected to the majority of them at the time. So they all wanted to do like 48-hour film festivals, not sleep, and I just wanted to build portfolios to get in front of big companies. And so I had two mentors that have unfortunately passed at this time, but they both came through the Art Institute, and they gave me a goal my senior year. They said, Tamara, I want you to go out and do every single aspect, every role needed in a documentary film. You're going to produce it, direct it, edit it, shoot it, script, anything, everything. So I took on the job, or not, it wasn't a job. It was really like a task.
Right.
And they're like, you're going to do all this, and then you're going to submit it into Sundance Film Festival. And I was like, okay, I got this, right? At this point, I'm sobered up. And I'm like, I got this, whatever. This is not. So I wanted to go out and actually interview a bunch of different people that have built some sort of success. And so I wanted to learn from them as entrepreneurs because I saw myself wanting to be an entrepreneur. And so I went out and so I interviewed a bunch of successful leaders, a lot of people that people know today that are also now friends of mine, colleagues of mine, or even clients of ours. And it was a cool experience because I went out, did these interviews, and I had the last interview that was set for, so keep in mind, Sunday night was at midnight was when we were supposed to get this film in. And I was like, okay, it's Saturday morning. And I'm like, I want to interview this one gal that was on Shark Tank that lives in Portland, Oregon. It's like a 3-hour drive. I was like, okay. I was like, I got this. She was like, I can do an interview on Saturday. I'm like, I can drive to Portland from Seattle in 3.5 hours, go down, do an interview with her for like an hour, get some B-roll, down in Portland, do all this stuff. The weather was decent. So I'm like, okay, it's not raining. Went went down, filmed, got down there at like noon, filmed stuff, got back Saturday night, went, and I was like, now I need to select the best points in here to be put into at the time, a 76-minute edit that I had for a documentary, 76 minutes, that turned into a 93-minute film. Turned around, edited that. And anyone that's in the production world knows how long it takes to edit, render, export, and then now upload into a Dropbox for a 93-minute film. This is quite a feat. And I was like, I can do this. So I literally went through like that night. I didn't sleep that weekend. I found the best points, put together the film, created the teaser that I also had to submit for the film. And I literally get it like exported the next night. And I'm watching it go into their Dropbox, like slowly, hour by hour. I'm like, oh, it's 11 p.m. Oh, is it going to make it? Oh, at 11:59, it dropped right into their box. I submitted it into Sundance. I fulfilled all of the tasks that these mentors told me to do my senior year at the Art Institute. No, my film did not get accepted by Sundance, but that caused a ripple effect to everything else that started to happen in my life. And how Broadcasting Authority came to be was from that moment. Because it wasn't accepted into Sundance was great, because we could now submit it into all other film festivals. Fair game, right? So all of a sudden we started submitting the film into all these places. Palm Springs, and you're like all of a sudden they're like this Seattle, all these different places. All of a sudden I was traveling, speaking at events, sharing the story on this. That was like my speaker journey, because I now do keynote speaking as well, but more on the business front. And so I realized I enjoyed that. So I went through that piece of it, and it really changed me, because after that, we started to direct more documentary films because of the traction that I got from that project. We started offering that after I graduated film school in 2012. I started directing documentary films. People started hiring us, but we knew we wanted more. We wanted to like a more sustainable business model, not just one-off projects, but that's what I knew. That's what I started getting traction from. So we had originally started a production company called Serious Take Productions, which is still our legal name today. And because we wanted people to take their business more seriously, and we wanted people to take our company more seriously. So that was why Serious Take Productions was created. And so all of a sudden, these people were hiring us for these documentary films, for businesses, influencers, celebrities, corporations. And that was our business model, like telling these incredible brand stories that were leveraged into the teasers and then led back to the full-length video. But we started using YouTube for the marketing platform. So all of a sudden, one day we had a trailer video for one of our clients take off. It had 888,000 views in a matter of less than 10 days. Wow. We were like, whoa, Nelly. We're like, what just happened here? Right? It was so cool. So we're like, okay, what did we do right? And how can we apply it to all the other trailers that we produced for the other clients? So we started to really figure out the YouTube game and stuff like that. And then because of that, we started optimizing all these trailers on YouTube and figuring that stuff, talking to the YouTube reps and stuff. And so it was really cool to watch and learn. This, again, was back in 2012, so it's a while ago. But what was unique about it is we started doing that to other films, other trailers for clients, and they started taking off. And then those documentaries started getting traction. And then all of a sudden, IndieFlix wrote us and found us and said, we would actually like to acquire your films. And so we're like, okay, so IndieFlix is similar to Netflix, but based in Seattle, Washington. I'm actually now really good friends with the founder today. But I didn't know her back then. She wasn't the one that approached me or anything. Yeah. And so that was cool. And then all of a sudden that happened. And we're like, okay, well, now what? And so we're like, well, these are all just sold. Like, do we want to continue on this route or do something else? So as an entrepreneur at that point, though, I started doing other things like attending entrepreneurial events and wanting to learn more about entrepreneurship, building a company. So I started attending events and then hosting events. One, because I wanted to speak on stages. I had a passion to speak on stages, but the only ones I was really invited to were film festivals, colleges, things like that. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about marketing and video and things. And so the way that I always fast track things is like, if somebody else doesn't ask you, then you do it. Right. There you go. So I started hosting events. We started hosting events, and we started our own Broadcasting Authority events. And I started joining mastermind groups, high-level mastermind groups, because I wanted to connect with other people that have had the success where I saw us going and where we wanted to go. So in about 2017, we reshifted the brand for Serious Take Productions to be more around broadcast your authority, because we had a bigger mission and we wanted to create more of a sustainability piece and a subscription model. And so what we did is we joined this high-level mastermind, and this woman in the group said, she's like, you guys are really good at video marketing and YouTube. She's like, I have a podcast. And she's like, I'm actually working with these two guys in the group right now, but all they do is audio. And all they do for social media is these little audiograms with wave bars at the time, and she's like, what if you guys took over my show? We did video podcasting. You guys seem to know YouTube really well, and I'll be your first client on the podcast side. And we were like, let's do it. So we tested that side of it. She had a very specific niche in the sales industry. So she was a sales coach. She was our first client as a sales coach, and we helped her monetize her channel. And she became more of an authority in the sales space too, and to help other people on that side. And so that was cool, because we're like, okay, this is cool. We figured this out. But then we started selling subscription model packages. And then we started joining other mastermind groups and hosting more events. And then we started offering our services. And that's really how Broadcast Your Authority started on that. But it really just came back and later in life, I didn't even realize it till later in life, how all of these things started lining up and why they were all happening on that. So it was really cool to watch. And now we work with over 200 shows weekly at this point. We've got lots of great team members. I focus more on the consultancy piece and the head of some of our shows. But we've got great team members doing everything else. And that's really just how it started formulating. I have lots of stories in between as well on that side, and the success factor that also hit different points of building the business too.
Oh man, that's just so cool. I love it. This Derek, you can see why I was so excited to get her on the show, because this is
he's like, I don't know this girl, what she got.
I wanted to ask you about your package, your delivery being all encompassing, just to kind of give context for our viewers or for anyone who has a podcast. So we have this podcast on YouTube, and we handle the studio and our independent mics, and there's things we do well and there's things we do not well at all. But obviously always tweaking, observing, improving. What if we say, okay, your company, step in, take this over, what are you doing? Is it has to be in the studio, your studio? It's just edited by you? What areas of the production are you doing? Are you doing B-roll? How does that change in that case?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it evolved over the years, because people were like, do you do this aspect? Do you do this aspect? And so it really became a one-stop shop in a lot of ways. And the way that we formulated it is we're more of we call ourselves more of instead of a podcasting agency, it's more of a data-driven content marketing agency. One, with the focus of video podcast for optimizing it on YouTube first, right? So that's the first thing that we're looking at. But the actual very first thing that we do with it for our clients first is the market research, right? So you guys have more of a conversational based show. A lot of the times clients come to us more about the topics that people are currently searching for in their niche. If they have a very specific niche, right? So healthcare space or real estate space, sales space, coaching space, entrepreneurial, finance. The way that it primarily works, when you've selected more of that niched area, we can always reverse engineer. It just makes people think a little bit differently when you have open conversation shows. Because the one thing we want to do is well, what do you want to talk about? Or what do you typically talk about? Is it having guests that share these badass entrepreneurial journey stories? Is it, I'm a sales coach, I want to teach people this, or I want to attract more people into this program? Is it, I want to promote my book, that I'm in the mindset space? What is the bigger vision, right? So people will come to us, and the first thing we ever do is say this is what people are actually searching for on YouTube and Google in the area that you want to talk about, right? And again, it gets a little bit different when it's just hey, we just talk,
if it's not niche, it's these podcasts get huge and I'm guessing, and I do look at the studio data and the analytics and whatever, but whenever I'm looking at a big name, a Joe Rogan, a Theo Vaughn, a Candace, whatever, I feel like it's like the brand is them and also the guests.
They built those over years,
Yeah.
right? So like Joe Rogan, like he was back when like the X Factor took off. So I applied for the TV show when he first got going when I was 20 years old. So 25 years ago, he started building his name, right?
So he was on MTV when they played music.
Yeah. So like, and I almost got on that show. They literally wrote me back and they said, Miss Thompson, you're a perfect fit for this show. 20 years old, you have to be 21. I was like, I'll be 21 in 4 months. They're like, write us back then. I was like, dang it. I was like, I almost got on was it Fear Factor?
Fear Factor.
Fear Factor.
You were going to do the one. You were going to do the one where you take like a handful of worms out of the dirt and you have to.
Yes. I was totally that person. I was like, I went through jail. I can do.
You were straight crazy, girl.
I was that person. But so like people like Joe Rogan and other people that have these like miraculous opportunities, some of them have built it over years, right? And so like, but there are all these people that come to us and say, I want to be the next Joe Rogan. And I'm like, why don't you be just the next you, right? Like
100%.
Like, just be yourself. And if that's the direction you're going and people are truly attracted to the content, it will resonate too. But the one thing we do is look at the data though. Like, so even when you have a show that's more like conversationally, like I don't have an exact direction. What we do is we take that transcript of the conversation and say, hey, this was probably the meatiest piece of it. This is better for keyword optimization. Here's the actual title of the episode, right? Here's all the keywords and the best hooks that will come from that episode. And then we optimize it for YouTube first, right?
And that's Derek. He's really good at that because I have no clue.
I mean, by good at it, I mean, I have a search engine optimization agency and I've done it for, affiliate marketing. I started in 2005. So I started that agency like 15, 16. So all I'm doing is just basic keyword planning and volume forecasting and then chunking it together with a consistent title. And then based on our notoriety of our guests, incorporating that where I can. And then,
well, it's also about like paying attention like each month, right? So tracking the analytics every 30 days. What were the best keywords? What was the top performing? Was it because of a guest? Was it because the guest did a collaboration on Instagram and they have a following? What are the key factors on that piece? So yeah, we really have like a one-stop shop where we help like do that, but we're doing other stuff too. So like we're pulling the best hooks or doing all the things from the copywriting for the social post to the posting to the distribution.
Do you take advantage of any like AI tools? Like one of the tools that I dabble with a little bit is Opus Clips and stuff like that they'll actually create B-roll if you. I mean, obviously it's. Or you could put your B-roll is going to be better. But yeah,
they're kind of cheesy. So yeah, so we
Zach
we
loves
do use
them.
Certain AI. We definitely use certain AI stuff. We did use Opus Clips for a little bit too, but we actually just use Adobe Suite for everything from graphic design to video editing. Because like the more that you put intentional like B-roll or intentional licensed B-roll or even real B-roll of like, so a lot of our clients have like B-roll of themselves. Like maybe they're a speaker and they're speaking on stages or they want to speak on stages or they're on other podcasts and they have things to like, but put in there like the more intentional B-roll. But yeah, when I saw some of the B-roll through the Opus Clips, I'm like, oh my gosh, how cheesy is that?
I know it's awful. One of my goals would be to incorporate original B-roll and then also like that Mark short you sent me earlier, Zach, where you actually have the camera angles change more and the zoom in and the zoom out, the things that hold people's attention because you need to
fluid.
Yeah. You need to do that. You need to do that every like literally 2 seconds these days. Like,
so I'm not going to put you on the spot.
People engaged. It's crazy.
No, I am. I'm going to put you on the spot. Looking at a show like ours, where we are conversational, and some weeks we might be interviewing a doctor. Other times we're interviewing an entrepreneur like yourself. Mm-hmm. Other times we've interviewed a guy another entrepreneur. He started a junk collecting company in Colorado and he's quite successful. So we don't really have a niche other than we like to have conversation. Yeah. Would there be, if you looked at it and looked at all the shows we've done, I think we're at, what is this, 25, Derek?
Could be.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Would there be, say, maybe critique and hey, let's fine tune it. We're going to go after this. Or would you say, okay, keep doing what you're doing? Because here's the problem. I think we put out great content. I have a little ego, so it doesn't matter.
I think it's great. I think it's great content. The way
I love talking to people, and I think we have great conversation. So why are we not famous yet? I mean, I know it
Yeah,
takes time.
it's been 7 whole months or 8 whole months.
Dadgummit, we should be like
And
million
I'm always,
downloads.
and I want Tamara to talk, but I'm always like obsessing over like quality, like, you know, the quality, like we just had a fantastic guest a couple weeks back, but his camera froze, and so it just ruined kind of the whole production. And where it's like,
Yeah,
it
he
doesn't
would sit
matter
there,
how
you'd hear him
engaging
talking,
that
but he'd be-
audio is, it'll work on the audio side of things, but for YouTube, you're going to tune out. Like, like the golden rule I always look at is like, if I can watch it, great. If I can't, no one can, right? I mean, because if I'm my biggest fan and I
our
can't
last
watch it,
couple
that means it's
shorts,
shit.
Derek, I was not happy with.
What were you saying, Tamara?
Yeah, well, because you know, everybody like they say, they're like, I want to be like the next Joe Rogan, like you said, right? So like Joe Rogan, just because he's already built the following, he can have an hour and a half long show, right? So like the first thing that I always evaluate is, especially on YouTube, if you go in the back end, right, and like even when you do have traction, what is your average watch time of a video, right?
Derek.
So like the majority of people are not watching this type of content on YouTube unless you have a following, or unless you have a guest that can help promote it, that has a following, that gets some traction, right? So we've had clients that will start with us from scratch, or maybe they have a show that they have not a lot of episodes, or maybe they have a can of episodes in there, right? The length of a show can really make or break in the beginning, right? So if you're going in the back end and you're like, okay, the real people that are watching this episode, or on average, let's say you have a 24-minute average watch time to a full podcast. On YouTube specifically, it's literally saying, hey guys, your average watch time is 24 minutes. We want to see more content around that. When we've taught our clients to do the 22 to 24 minute framework for the network that we're building and launching into our space on a video on demand platform, that, because people can consume things like, oh, you know, a lot of people will maybe listen to an hour and a half podcast, and maybe they'll listen to it on YouTube, and maybe it's in their car, right? Maybe they're still just listening to it on the YouTube app. I do that too. I don't even watch the video. I'm like, hey, I'm going to YouTube to find this.
Sure.
And they might be listening to it for that hour and a half. But if for some reason somebody clicks off of that, why is it that they click off of it? Oh, like, oh, I was listening to it in the car and I got to the grocery store and I gotta go pick up my kids, whatever that is. So one thing we first look at is that piece. What is the watch time on it? Because YouTube is not necessarily going to reward you with suggesting your content until you hit closer to your watch time. So that's like the main thing that I've learned over the years. So
what do you mean by closer to your watch time? When your watch time gets closer to your length of video?
Correct. Yeah, the length. But we do know that shorts right now, on average, 67% of new subscribers come from shorts. So we post at least 5 shorts a week for each of the episodes. So it's like that weekly show, 5 shorts, or people are finding because of the short form content, like, oh, I like what those guys had to say. I'm going to become a subscriber. Now I'm going to go listen to their long form content, right? But like I said, if you're in there and like, oh, the average watch time from these selected people that are subscribed and watching the content, they're like, oh, 24 minutes. I'll tell you a quick story. So when I had another show for a few years called Video Marketing for Business, I did a mixture of content. I did not just interviews, but educational front content. So it was a more like positioning factor that led people back into business, right? And I had created Video Marketing for Business because I knew that video marketing for business is searched highly thousands of times per month, right? And so 1, it was a show name. 2, it was a great keyword to add in the front end of an additional long form keyword for an episode. So it's like video marketing for business for doctors, video marketing for business for, something else. You add the long form keyword, right? So I knew that video marketing for business was highly searched. So we leveraged that. In the back end, when I did solo content, I knew my average watch time was 12 minutes. So right then and there, I decided, because it was that format though, with the solo episodes too, and I'm not saying that because you guys have like the interview purpose, right? But just to keep it in mind is like, okay, well, when I did that, it was like, oh, average watch time 12 minutes. I knew that my next video had to be right under 12 minutes, because then YouTube's like, oh, you hit your mark of our suggested watch time. Now we're going to push you out to 70% more people to find your content. So that's the way that I always see it. And that's why when our clients be like, oh, 22 minutes, man, that's so short. Like, I totally get it. Like,
Not
do
really.
30 minutes, do 30-minute shows. Like 30 minutes is great, right? But if there's more, because Or if you have a podcast like this and it's an hour and a half, is there a breaking point where you could be like, hey, this is a part 1, part 2 with Tamara Thompson, or, break it up. Like, is there a spot in this interview where we're like, oh, come back next week to check out the rest of her story, right? So then you're turning around and you're literally like, okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. I wanted to hear what you did after jail, right? Like, oh shoot, put that hook in there.
Would you? Sorry, not to cut you off, but would you do that specifically for video or for the podcast platforms also for audio?
I think it would be for both. You could do that. Because when we work with our clients, we want that consistently weekly content. You don't want to like separate it to be different, right? But I see your point in that. I guess you could do that, but to make it like more consistent on that front, I would keep it that side of it, because I also don't know how many audio podcast downloads you get per month, right? Like, or week. So that's why we're always intentional with the length of the watch time, because our background first was YouTube, and that was really what we focused on. And then we came into this space and took over the audio podcast piece of it. And the reason that people start to rank, one is the consistency factor. 2 is being able to ask people for reviews. So the more reviews you get, the more opportunities that will start to have opportunities to rank in specific categories. But people have to also understand that a lot of these high-level shows are spending thousands of dollars on ads to run traffic to their shows.
Right.
We have a client that ran, he has the ability to do this. I'm not going to say names, but he has the ability to do this because he sold 2 multi-million-dollar companies. Right. So he's becoming a thought leader in his space, but I won't say names. But what happened was he was able to drop thousands of dollars in ads to audio podcast plays, like $5,000 an episode, so like $20,000 a month. Just think of it this way, though. Because of that, he was getting more traction and it started to rank him. And so now he's in the top in a specific category right now. So he was out beating like Mel Robbins, like back and forth. Not because he had fame, but it was because he had.
But what about for doing that with YouTube? Because I'll spend a couple, not a lot, but a couple bucks each episode just to do like the Google ads.
And that's smart. So we do that as well. So depending on different.
But does that hurt you if you're new and you haven't found your audience? Because, and this is why I'm asking. So hear me out. It's a long form question. Yeah. If you're doing that and you're not finding your audience, is YouTube at that point not pushing your video organically enough? I mean, that's what I watch a lot, and that's what I hear. And I wonder sometimes, it's like, maybe I shouldn't be doing that at all until there's like organic traction.
It actually can help it. There is a scenario right now. So I've seen on the back end of quite a few Google ads. So Google ads to YouTube video views or YouTube subscriber base, right? Based on the target demographic. So an example for one of our clients currently, they started to show with us back in, let's see, six months ago. And they started brand new, fresh, right? So they did a couple of good PR polls where they had some high-level guests on their show, but they also hired those people to be on their show and to promote it out to their networks. So that one helped boost a little bit more on the organic front. And then they started doing Google ads with us because they have a bigger picture. So their niche is more in the faith-based space on Christianity. So just an example. So they want to attract people to their core offers on their coaching side and their couples retreats, right? Mm-hmm. So they're creating content around what people are searching for on YouTube and Google. They do a 22-minute show based on our recommendation. But what we're doing is running short form content. So YouTube Shorts views, 2, the most popular shorts that performed well first, turning those into ads that drive back to 1, subscriber base, and then 2, back to their retreat page, right? And then those people that also subscribe or are basically get targeted by the ad, they get retargeted by their landing page for their retreats, depending on which short form clip that was being run. But I mean, you can keep it basic and run it based on video views to a certain demographic or for subscribers on that side. But what we noticed on their channel specifically the last month, which is great, is that YouTube alone, it boosted and amplified the views because of the paid ads. But then we looked in the back end this month and YouTube started to suggest the content organically by 77%. So that, and that's a decent number for suggestion rate. Because of that, we turned around and checked in the back end for specific shorts that were run not on the ads, but now the shorts are taking off on the organic front. And there was a short the other day that's not based on paid ads that had 450 subscribers new this month from that one short that's not a paid ad. So so my brain thinks really fast, but that's really it's really like a numbers game with YouTube. So it's like paying attention to the data, like what's the average watch time on the long form content, which short form content's doing well. Are you doing at least 5 shorts a week? Is there at least one long form video? What's the average watch time? And what are the best clips that are performing? So we'll be like, oh, was it because of this hook? Because we'd create all the hooks from it, pull the best snippets, do all the copy, and then we link those back to the full length video on the shorts, of course, and then pay attention to the data. What's top performing? Tell the clients each month, hey, this one was crushing it. It was because, hey, maybe you hired that guest, or 2, it was a keyword that took off on your channel. And we say, hey, create another episode that's very similar to this. And a lot of the time when they do, if they like literally mimic that episode that took off, it's like almost like a part 2, the channel will be like, ooh, I like this video too, right? You're like, oh, that video with Tamara took off. Like, oh, have Tamara back on the show. Like, is it because she posted it and shared it out to her hundreds of thousands of followers? Is it because she sent it out to the email list? Is it because she also promoted it to a LinkedIn article? Like, that's typically what I do to help promote people, because we've built an audience, right?
Sure.
And so people are like, wow, they're like, well, my episode with Tamara took off. Because we're open to sharing it too. A lot of people are like, hey, thanks for having the show. I'll do like one post to one link. We're over here like doing collabs. We're trying to help support people on that side because we understand the YouTube game, right? We're like, we want people to go to your YouTube channel. Like, I will share that all over the place all day long.
Is it smart? Is it smart or wise strategy to hire a famous person as a guest every once in a while?
Depends on your flow, but I would say yes, but be strategic on it. And what's the long-term game? Is this person, one, going to do something else with you in long-term? Like, do you see something else coming from it? Is there a relationship that could be from that? Could this person connect you with somebody else? Could this person hire you? Like, the way that I've done it. So I've hired specific people for different things. Like, I hired Randy Zuckerberg for $60,000 to come be a keynote speaker at one of our main events. That main event, because I hired her for $60,000, I mean, she was the creator of Facebook Live, and something in my soul and gut said, I need to know her, and I couldn't get in front of her. She was very untouchable, right? You have to hire people sometimes. So we had her come out and speak at our keynote in 2019 at our Broadcaster Authority event. What was unique about it is my brain thinks really fast on the fact of like, how can I make that money back? People are like, you're nuts for hiring her for $60,000 just for one like hour keynote, right? I was like, I know in my soul that I'm supposed to do this, so I'm going to do it. And so I will figure out how to pay for it, right? And so the way that I did it was I turned around and I sold this high level experience that to 45 people for $5,000 to come in after her keynote to join us for a private mastermind session. And then we were going to surprise and delight the group with something else really cool. And everyone knows that I put together these really cool experiences. They're like, oh, I want to know what Tamara's doing, surprise, and rolling up the sleeve, like come in the room. So think about it, do the math, $5,000 times 45. That's very much surpassed the keynote cost plus the event costs, the AV team, everything. It covered the whole event, but it took time and energy to reach out to my core network, people that I knew would pay $5,000 just to have an evening to be in that room with other high level people, to be strategic about it. And so like that turned into a great opportunity because we also provided an opportunity from the stage that day too, to sell into our subscription model. In the first 2 days, we generated a $250,000 in sales back to our business model. And so when you think differently like that, it's like, how is this person the right person to hire for this? Is it to be on the show? Is it to speak at an event? And from that process, I knew something bigger was coming from it. And because I hired her and she came in, she actually talked to my event planner that night when she was leaving to go hop a plane an hour later. She walked up to the gal, our event planner, Whitney, and she's like, Tamara is one of the most humble businesswomen I've ever met. And she followed me on Instagram that night. So from there, we started chatting, becoming friends. COVID hit and we became golf buddies. I was that person that was like, she had moved over to California during COVID to be closer to family during that time. And everything was shut down, right? Other than some golf courses. That was one of the things that you could do. Like I golf, I love golfing. And one day she was chatting with me about golf and I saw that she took up golf with her dad during COVID. And I wrote her on a Thursday night and I said, random question. If I come over to California, do you want to golf on Monday? This is Thursday night. She's like, let's do it. So we went out to Half Moon Bay. I drove from Arizona to California just to golf with her to continue to build a relationship. We had a great time there. And then later on, we did other courses like Pebble Beach and things like that. We became golf buddies during COVID, which also led into other opportunities, which we ended up doing business deals together. She actually helped me become more keen on investing in companies. And since then, I've invested in 33 companies, and she helped teach me how to do that, to help support other businesses. So I knew that because of that $60,000, something else was going to transpire that was much more impactful in my life. And my soul just knew that. And I get that feeling every so often. It's like that sixth sense where I'm like, I know I need to hire that person, or I know I need to hire that person to be on my podcast. I've hired Rudy Rudiger from the movie Rudy. So I hired him to be on my show. I paid for that, but I knew I was going to do something bigger with him. And so now we've in talks of different things. I hired Spencer Raskoff. He's the founder of Zillow. Like other things started to formulate from that. Right. And so people just say like, how do you know this person? One, I hired them. Two, they were introduced by somebody else in my network. Right. So like the gal from IndieFlix, I ended up reaching out to her, telling her my story. She introduced me to the founder of Coinstar because he's a neighbor. So the way, like, she was like, you should have him come down to Vegas. I'm like, totally, come on down. Right. So it's like all the things start to happen. One, because you make the choice either to hire somebody or you don't, or you reach out and make those investments. And I make really large investments sometimes. And people are like, why'd you do that? I'm like, because I know something bigger is going to happen, either on an impact level, revenue generator level, or it's going to help more people. And so that's really how I live my life at this point. So everybody that we work with on their shows and anything like that, like we're trying to figure out what that bigger picture is for the show, right? Like how can we trim it down? What's the bigger purpose of it? Like, do you want to be like the next Joe Rogan? You know, like, is it like a fame thing? Is it a viral thing? Is it like more, you want to impact more people? Is it something to drive business back to some opportunity that you guys would have? Mm-hmm. And so when you're able to do that, it's really, that's what I love, is just being like, hey, data, but if this could make this door happen, then I do it. Right. And not everything comes from it though. And some things don't come in right away. So I always say like, hey, if something's meant to happen, it will happen, but it will like kind of come full circle sometimes. There's like influential people in my life now that are really close to me that like came into a point in my life where they met me right here. But then like later on in life, like I'm like, oh, that didn't happen.
It's like no matter how quantitative you can be, you still have to like listen to your gut. And sometimes like quantitative doesn't mean it's the correlations A, B, it's like A, P. And if you see that whole thing, you're like, okay, now the seeds here, the seeds here, the seeds there. Is the course going in the right way? And eventually it'll intersect.
Well, you know what's funny is I started noticing that the people that I either admired or wanted to connect with or have something that I felt intuitively over the years, didn't know why. These people they kept coming back into my space. And then when they would come in later on, I was like, I get it. They were meant to come in strong at this point. Like it wasn't meant to be right then. I'm like, why didn't that happen? Right. Like, and it happens actually with quite a few people. We had a scenario where I invited, Anthony Melchiori from Hotel Impossible, who's a good friend of mine now. We did his show too for a long time. And, it was interesting because over the years, I like didn't watch the show. Like it was on 9 seasons on the Travel Channel. Like I didn't feel inclined to watch the show. Like I'm not like a fangirl or anything like that. But I saw something online and I reached out to him on LinkedIn. I was like, I know I can help. I know we can help him. I was like, something reached out, but the first time I reached out to him was to talk to him and his manager about him being in one of our documentaries. So they were trying to make it happen. It didn't happen, that documentary, but later on reached back out on LinkedIn, connected. He sent me his cell phone number. He's like, I don't do this normally, but he's like, there's something about you. I was like, here's my cell phone number. Call me Monday. We ended up doing business deals together after that. And he actually came out and spoke at the same event that I hired Randy. And he waived his fees, but I paid for his change flight fees from him to come in from Vegas, where he was speaking at another event, covered everything else for him. And then we also did some content for him in exchange value to have him come to our event and speak. So it was like, he was like, I don't do this. He's like, I don't waive my speaker fees. He's like, you hired her for 60,000 and this is what you're giving me. He's like, I was like, I know. I was like, that was our budget. I was like, but I'm grateful. He's like, something's telling me like in my gut that I have to come. And then he also came to my wedding, and he's also a good friend. But it was like, he came into my life at a certain point. They didn't want to, but it didn't work with the timing for the film. And then he came in, reached out again. That also happened with Marcus Lemonis. So from The Prophet.
Mhm.
So like, so he was another person that's been monumental in my life too. And
Wow.
so we, so I'm a very
you're like the goose that lays the golden egg. Come on.
She's name dropping.
That's why they call me the connector. It's my nickname. So it was unique about it. And this was all manifested. This was completely incredible. So, so I started watching The Prophet when it first came out years ago, right when I was first starting our production company. I was like, I saw the show come out, and I was like, I'm going to meet this gentleman. Like, he's going to be a part of my life. I like just knew it in my thought. It's like I got this download. I was like, it's a thought. It came in. I was like, we'll see when that happens. So I started getting in with connecting with his gatekeeper. So like, we're friends now, but it was funny. So I started reaching out. I was like, they're like, man, this girl's really persistent. So that back before X, when it was Twitter, back when Twitter was pretty big, like back then, right? So I started using Twitter to connect with him, all the sharks on Shark Tank. I knew they ran their Twitter accounts. And I got their attention in a creative way that gave value. And that was what was unique about it. And so he still follows me today on Twitter. So does Lori Grenier from Shark Tank, like all the peeps. I know Damon John. I know a lot of them. And so it was cool though, because one day I was like, I'm going to speak on stage with him, or he's going to speak at one of our events. And my partner, she literally she submitted a contest for me to be entered into 2,500 people to share the stage with Marcus Lemonis and do a fireside chat basically with him to ask questions, connect, all that stuff. Boom, one day we're driving down the road. I get a call. You've been selected for that, to be that person to join at this event, to get to know him. Then we built a relationship from there. Started talking to Camping World and other stuff on marketing materials. But that transpired on the production company side. So that was years back. But he also now is partners with one of my mentors, with Roland Frazier. And so it's just kind of cool. They all connected the dots. And then Damon John also has a mastermind with all of them now too. And now we speak at different events. But I literally came from nothing. Like, I built my own success. We built a multi-million-dollar agency at this point. And it all came from, perseverance, resilience, taking action, giving value, not giving up. If you're not following up with someone 12 times, there's no point.
Exactly.
It's like people just give up on things. I'm like, if someone doesn't say no or doesn't respond, there's no reason why you shouldn't just keep asking.
Yeah, your KPI in that regard is just resolution at that point. It's not yes or no. And I think one of the key things you said twice now, especially when you're name dropping some heavy hitters, is like, are you providing enough value in every interaction, whether you're getting something or not? That will eventually connect that A and P point.
Is never expect anything in return. Anyone that steps in with an ego or expects something in return, that's when something can go completely the opposite direction.
Right.
And every time I step into this space and I don't expect anything in return, that's when things come tenfold back, or they come back tenfold later on, because something, all of a sudden they're like, hey, so-and-so knows you. Right. And so my buddy, a client of ours, was like, hey, he texted me last month. He's like, I was telling Damon John that you do our YouTube channel. And he was like, well, like let's have Tamara and I should talk, right? So it's like close proximity people, but being humble about it, and you're not stepping in a room. Like I do love selfies, but you're stepping in a room with these people. You're not just like, hey, I'm going to get a selfie with this person.
Right.
If you're stepping in a room with that person, just have a freaking conversation with them. Be humble about it. Don't be like every other, Tom, Dick, and Harry in the room. Like, hey, I'm going to go talk to so-and-so because they have influence. Provide the value first, have a decent conversation, and half the time they'll just give you their phone number.
They can sniff that out so much. So it's
100%. So that's just how that's how I've led for years. And it's not everything is easy, and not everything is comes right fast. But when you're patient and you take the time to even do research about people and get to know them and even what they like send them a gift that like resonates with them of something that they like, like get in front of them and be like, oh, that was really thoughtful or intentional. That's how I like to work.
All right, Zach, take notes. We're going to wrap up, but I'm going to send Damon John a personally signed by me FUBU jersey. So I think you'll find a lot of value in that.
Right. I love that.
I am look, I know we're going to have to do a second show with you. I'm just letting you know. But I want to, first of all and foremost, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming on the show. We are humbled. You're just amazing. I love your energy.
You're amazing.
I love your thank you. I love your.
We have to color coordinate next time, guys. I want this.
Okay.
If we're all wearing blue or all wearing green,
She's got what do they call those when the rock stars are backstage? They have a rider. So she's got a rider. She wants us to all dress alike. Okay. Do we need to get
twinning? I would say twinning is winning.
Do we got to get you some kind of M&Ms or something?
We'll all do Disney shirts.
Oh boy, here we go, Disney. No, but look, this has been such a great conversation. I know you and I are contacting next week, and I'm very excited, and I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you waiting. I had a family thing I had to take care of last week, okay. And just. Listen, promote your business. How can people, if they want to use you, they want to be a customer or a client, let us know how. And then we're going to put it in the description.
Yeah, no, I appreciate both of you guys for having me today and letting me share a little bit more about a lot of my stories. There's so many other crazy stories in between as well. But yeah, I always say reach out to me on Instagram. Just say hello first. If you're interested, just connecting with myself. Tamara Thompson Official is my Instagram. That's my favorite platform. For the company itself, we're on Instagram and all over. It's at Broadcast Your Authority. Our website is broadcastyourauthority.com. For anybody that wants to set up a free discovery call with one of our team members, it's a great way to just kind of see how we could potentially work with you on your podcast, YouTube growth, content strategy side, and just really help amplify that. So I appreciate you guys for having me on today. Thank you.
Absolutely. And guys, I'll give you a testimonial. I actually met her because I reached out to discuss our podcast and growing it and my other podcast that I'm doing. And she actually talked to me. It was the boss called me. So it was so cool. We did a Zoom and probably could have been on for a couple hours, but I think
we just connected. It was like a soul thing,
Yeah. I was very pleased with it. So guys, again, thank you. We're going to have you on again, I promise. So keep that calendar open, and I'm going to send you the link tomorrow, so you can send it out to your folks, and maybe we'll get some new followers. But guys, thank you for watching. Please make sure you comment, subscribe, like, share, tell a friend, tell a phone, tell your mom, tell everybody. I don't care. Just get us out there.
Leave a review on Apple and Spotify.
Yes. Thank you. That's I got to add that to my closing verbiage now, because we are on all the platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Apple, Spotify,
Deezer, iHeartRadio.
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Yeah, there's a couple more. I have to get the list. But yeah, we're on all of them. So please make sure you follow, check us out, check out older shows. But this show especially is a great one. And until next time, everybody, we have so many more questions. I'll wait for the next show. But until next time, please love everybody and peace.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.